Hey, David.
Howdy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Oh.
So there's been a lot of back and forth, and I missed a lot of meetings. What's the agenda for this one?
I think what we're discussing about is the community green meeting for next month
Mm,
and
okay.
perhaps a certificate program.
So if I remember correctly, and please, my memory is imperfect. Uh, the community green meeting is about emissions.
No, the community green meeting next time is going to be about environmental justice.
Sorry, environmental justice. Got it. And you and I are both presenting?
That was, yes, or jointly presenting or something along those lines.
Yeah. Hey, Deborah.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Why are you gleaming so much?
Huh?
Why are you gleaming so much?
Gleaming? I'm sorry, it's probably not my effervescent personality. It's probably the glare from the window. How you folks feeling this morning?
Good.
All
I'm
right.
good.
Good. We may have a new board member. I'm meeting her 12:30 this afternoon.
Okay.
Do you remember a gal? She was briefly on our board, and then her mother got ill, and she had to leave Jersey City, and her circumstances have changed. She's back in Jersey City. She's a woman of color, and to the extent that it has been something that people have pointed out to us, even though we have a few women who are Indian. Do you remember the name Tamia McCormick?
Yes,
Okay. She may have taken the certificate program. I can't recall.
I seem to recall she did. Yeah.
Okay. She's been pursuing reconnecting, and it feels like and she works for a healthcare organization in New York City who
Okay.
looks to give grants
Oh,
to
they
yeah,
want her on the board.
of all things.
Yes.
Right, exactly. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm a little late.
All right.
That's okay.
No, you're bang on time. We like to
So-
start 5 minutes late.
Yeah, it seems to be in our DNA. So, before we jump into that, David, I had, and maybe you did, I've not been on Slack yet this morning, your presentation from last week.
I sent it on Slack this morning.
Okay, cool. How did the Wednesday meeting go?
Actually, Bill's a better judge than I am on that. So how do you think it went, Bill?
I thought it was a good discussion. The disappointment was that only, I think we had 7 or 8 people on. However, I was pleased by the quality of the participation, and particularly that 3 new board members from the Journal Square Community Association joined, and they all participated actively, George, Margaret, and Fitz. So that was good. But again, the disappointment with the numbers, both from JSQCA and also from SJC. But
Yeah.
it was a good discussion.
Yeah, it's on my agenda. I have a meeting with our communications team next week. We were doing good, not for nothing. Something may have fallen off, and I'll check what that was about. But, we're doing some goal setting, Bill, just so that around this event series to increase the number. So there's a concerted effort both by the social media team and how we're communicating on email about it, whether it's our newsletter or this month we sent out an independent broadcast about that and the certificate program. And, I'm not sure, there's just so much going on in Jersey City. There's a Black History Month. I would say dirty dozen number of events that were happening all week long, every week this month. And similarly, I expect for Women's History Month next month. So one of the things that we are doing, just to frame this a bit, is that we've been developing a database of different constituency categories, like who are the environmental groups, who are the neighborhood associations, who are the city officials that we want to be in touch with. It's probably a dozen different categories that we've looked at, including what next month's talk on environmental justice and eco-justice is going to be. And we're about to look at, through the communications team, and we started this 2 years ago because we thought we were going to get a grant to create a map of stewardship groups in Jersey City. We were in a grant proposal with the U.S. Forest Service in New York City. The original purpose of the grant was to look at tree canopy care, but they did a similar project in New York City, and it became all important after they completed that project. Right after that, Sandy hit, and they had a resource bank of all the community groups that could surge to help the city come back from Sandy. So I've just continued to make it an internship project within SJC to keep that up. And now we're about to present it to the communications team to see how we want to smartly tag on social media, how we want to, outreach. Some of this is relevant to this EPA grant we got, Bill, for environmental justice to, take on, be the lead organization in that grant to do community outreach.
This is the air quality monitoring project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Right. Yeah. So, my contention, the last couple of talks I gave to neighborhood associations downtown here is that they don't even have a working language for environmental justice. And so I start that talk oftentimes with that we're as strong as our weakest link. Did you know what's going on in this other part of town?
Yeah,
right? So I don't know. I'm liking to think that there's going to be some showing at our talk next week, but you know, we'll see. So that's a little bit about what we're doing. You know, the CGC meeting series will be an element of what we're continuously pushing out to expand the audience for a conversation about sustainability and resiliency and environmental, health in Jersey City. So we'll see if we can grow that. That's some of the goals that we've put to paper for this year. And that's all I want to say about that. We now have scheduled to the end of the semester, if you will, given we operate sort of on a semester basis, our next 4 meetings, March, April, May, and June. So we had talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Are you still good with that, Bill?
yes, yes. So next month, environmental justice, April, we'll have Maggie from the state DEP to talk about the Essex Hudson Greenway. And maybe we can get her to talk about Liberty State Park a bit as well.
Could we just pause at that? Could
Yes,
you ask her to explicitly do that? Because I don't think that the Essex Hudson Greenway is going to take up the whole of that talk. But there are a few things going on with the DEP these days. What is Maggie's role?
she's director of urban parks.
Okay.
Urban state parks.
Okay. So we have been gotten in touch with, and Ash, I want to talk about this a little bit this morning because you've been jumping on this. You remember, Bill, when we did that extreme heat campaign,
Right.
right, a couple of years ago. The DEP is now coming out with a series of resiliency action plans, to push out through the municipalities. And while the first one that they had been focused on for a couple of, for some years was, hi, Nancy, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Was flooding issues, and there has been over the years, Bill, as you can recall, a very many years focused conversation, whether it was the state or the sewer, the Passaic Valley sewage folks. The mandate coming out of DEP is to all the municipalities. They forced everyone to put together a long-term action plan to address climate change flooding, with some set of alternative solutions. So, this is where also the sewer utility fee was in play a couple of years ago. The idea was to, and that was their first mandate, install more green infrastructure, make your pipes bigger, right? Separate your sewage from your sewer system flooding, rainwater, right? All these things. So we know the MUA has been under a consent decree by the EPA since 2011 to stop dumping sewage in the Hudson River, right? They've done a phenomenal job spending millions upon millions of dollars. And we know the city's under construction oftentimes with the streets torn up by what they're doing with expanding and, our sewer system is antiquated here, right? Our stormwater management system and our sewer system, we're a CSO city, et cetera. So fast forward, the long-term control plan was in. We agreed to 9% green infrastructure. They were hoping that, municipalities would go as high as 20%. No one went above 10. It's still considered anecdotal to build above ground, build up one's landscape, and have soil and green infrastructure, be a partner in managing stormwater. Hopefully, over time, that'll change, but that's what all the municipalities in the state of New Jersey committed to. So, and in particular, the 21 that were mandated that were CSO cities. So for some years, the state has focused over and over and over on flooding and, you know, these more frequent rain events that were about to happen. Well, they pivoted last year, and now the first resiliency plan they're coming out with is on heat, extreme heat, and the urban heat island. And not just urban heat island, because they're looking at extreme heat events throughout the state, not just in urban areas. So I was hoping that the DEP, and we're going to meet, and we should invite Bill to that meeting. I think this has now actually been bumped to talk to the DEP. What was that, March 4th? You're on mute, Ash. Ash, you're...
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So there was a proposal to set it up March 4th at 1 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. We are hiring some candidates, faculty member at Ramapo College, and one of the candidates moved their interview date to March 4th. So I sent a message to everybody saying, if you want to meet without me, March 4th is fine, but if you want to meet with me, then we have to change the date.
Okay, can you just, as this evolves, loop Bill in? I
Sure.
want him to be aware. So
Okay.
we've already met with the assistant deputy director, Nathalie, who you may recognize that name. She used to be the sustainability director of Newark. Kate Lawrence
Yep.
used to work with her, right? She's terrific. And we met with her, you know, I would say mid-year 2023 to sort of catch up with where the DEP was at and where SJC was at and whatnot. And she's, I think, one of the primary people who were behind launching this series. And I believe there are going to be 9 of them. So 9 action plans under the state's climate action and resiliency planning, right? So the first round, where it was going to be flooding, is now extreme heat. So this upcoming meeting with the DEP is about that, to understand where they're going with this. But there has been a survey that they're pushing out. We put it in our newsletter. I'm not sure if you read about it, Bill. Otherwise, I'll put it in the chat for you to also send out to your constituents.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with it?
No.
Okay, but let me put that in the chat now. My point about all of this is, if they're focused on it, that means the city's focused on it, which I think our community education should focus on this somewhat, both in the certificate program, potentially in the CGC series. And if the DEP is coming to town to, here, I just put it in the chat, to talk with us about Essex Hudson Greenway and LSP, maybe there is someone she can bring with us, or when we speak with the DEP in early March, ask them to jump on the call to
join
talk
with
to
Maggie.
Yeah. What do you think?
I have mixed feelings. You know, I mean, I think it would be up to Maggie to ask her first if she would
Okay.
object to having other people from DEP come along, and maybe if you could email me, you know, who else it is from DEP, that you would want to invite, and the topics, you know, because we
So look at what I just sent to you, which is the New Jersey DEP survey, and where they're going with some of this.
You just sent this by email, or?
No, I just put it in the chat. There are 3 links at the top of the survey. I'm going to put another one of them in the chat. Potentially.
I don't see anything in the chat from you.
Can you see the chat? I just put 2 links there.
Yeah, I see them, Bill, so.
It's very strange.
So Deb, am I hearing you right that the work they did on the flooding is just falling off a cliff and they're not gonna deal with it anymore?
No, I think that's the second one they're rolling out. And
Oh, yeah, I see the links now. Yeah, sorry.
and I think the original intent in terms of what Natalie said, I think I got it wrong when I said they have 9 of these. I think every 9 months, they're going to roll out another leg of the statewide climate resiliency action plan. So, you know, they're focused on each element of it separately. So where flooding was going to be first, now extreme heat is first, and I think flooding is going to be second.
Ah, okay.
And I don't know the order of things. We'll learn more from Natalie. But do you see those 3 links, Bill?
Yes, I see them now. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, this last one suggesting that the statewide resilience action plan for climate change is something that you could mention to Maggie. You know, the interesting thing is that one of the cases for the Essex Hudson Greenway was that it became an asset in the portfolio to mitigate climate change impacts regarding flooding.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right? And given that it's a greenway, it also has implications for extreme heat.
Right.
Right? So she may be able to speak to that. And, you know, the question remains, and this is SJC's forever gerbil wheel, of what do you want from us? Like, what's our role in this? I've been having very fruitful conversation with the sustainability division office here, suggesting, Deb, we want to work with you guys. We think that you've done great work and we've missed out in the past collaborating, right? They see that we have, which is one of our strong suits, an ability to do outreach, and the amount of educational focus that we have is important, and they don't do it. So they like that we're doing it.
The city doesn't do it.
Not really. I mean, what educational resources are they publishing? Right?
Yeah. I was just wondering when you said they, if you were referring to the city.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing this with the CGC series.
Right.
And with our certificate program, in any way we can sandwich in some education, a church meeting, green drinks, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that's April. And then May, we thought we would invite the sustainability division, right?
Yes, and what is the name of the young lady who's director of that again?
That's Amanda Diamond.
Right. Okay.
And Andrew Fenwick is the second in command there.
Right.
We had Andrew, was it last year in 2022, guys, give us an update on the city's climate and energy action plan, which is what we would like Amanda to do. For example, if the state is rolling out this extreme heat resiliency action plan, how is the city lining up behind that, which has an implication for how we're lining up behind that.
Right.
And then June, what was June?
The schools, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right. And Solar Landscape has already confirmed. So DCO, I'm due to speak with on Monday.
And how does Solar Landscape fit in with the schools?
There are, I don't know, I think that, I don't want to say 31, but they're the ones who won the RFP that DCO sent out to put solar on top of schools.
Oh, right.
Right? So there are at least a dirty dozen number of schools that are going to have solar.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
Right.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
by the way, Dr. Fernandez, the superintendent of schools for Jersey City, is speaking at the Journal Square Community Association meeting in 2 weeks. I think that's March 9th.
well, I'm going to forward to you because there's a question for her. You know, we just sent a proposal. You know, SJC has an MOU with the school district,
Right.
and we were offered by Rutgers some, for instance, they had given the 3 cities that collaborated with that citizen science extreme heat campaign in 2021, $10,000, like $3,000 each to, you know, buy some food for people that day, give them t-shirts, you know, that kind of stuff. And they hold that as a seed grant, right? You're starting something in XYZ category. They've come around again to SJC and some other community organizations and said, we'll give you $25,000 this time to start something. So we put 2 proposals on the table. One is for us to do air quality monitoring indoors at a school or a few schools after we learned that there were about 10 or 12 schools that don't have ventilation systems in Jersey City.
Really?
Correct. So what DCO has been able to do is pull 4 of the high schools off that list and put them into their ESIP, the energy retrofit plan
Right.
that they're rolling out. But there's this residual group, right, that they're saying they have no money for, there's no budget. So we thought we would take, for example, the remaining high school, Liberty High School, because the kids are old enough to participate in a program where we'll go out and buy equipment they could wear. And they would collect data in the classroom and around some of the, you know, common areas of the school. The city of Jersey City has requested that they don't leave the equipment at school, that they actually wear at home, because they have a suspicion that, you know, this very high asthma prevalence rate in Jersey City, that some of it has to do with the home environment. So, you know, it's an opportunity for Rutgers to give us some seed money to do a project like that. And I wrote to the superintendent about it the other day. I'll forward that email to you guys so you see what that project outline is. They'll either say yes or no. If they say no, door number 2 has to do with what this EPA listening tour was last week that I mentioned to you all, where the EPA came to town and they're looking at the pollution that's created by the ports of Newark, Elizabeth, and Jersey City. So we did a day-long tour. We visited, you know, Newark, that ports area and the surrounding areas to see what the impact is in the residential areas. I was horrified, needless to say. Also, similarly in Elizabeth, what the circumstances are in the communities immediately surrounding the ports, which are also surrounded by incinerators and, you know, industry that is very dirty. So after this, and this was the first year, they said, Jersey City, we want to include you. Right? It's always been that they had been focused on Newark and Elizabeth. So now we're looking at Jersey City. And what I was asked to do is a presentation in the evening that, you know, because we're just starting down that road, I worked with Rosie, who is our lead mapper, Bill, and and presented this map. I said, we're just getting started with air quality monitoring in Jersey City. So we don't have the data yet, but here's what we know. You know, this high asthma prevalence rate with other respiratory and cardiovascular health statistics that are bad. And a lot of that runs through this corridor, Asthma Alley here, which is enveloped in transportation corridors. The, state Turnpike Authority is proposing to expand the turnpike through Jersey City, which we have pushed back on. All the community groups have pushed back on. You're aware of this, Bill. We've hosted 2 workshops, right, about this. It's still pending, but what we know is that in this ports area down here, which is just below the line, if you will, for this southern or most eastern border of Asthma Alley, is a lot of commercial and industrial activities. So these blue shaded areas are pretty much, it's the federal government's, what they're calling Justice 40 map, showing that Jersey City is an environmental justice community, and those blues map to our reds and oranges, right? So you can lay one over the other and it's pretty much the same.
So the blue areas in the state map, they are reflecting industry?
The blue areas in Jersey City here are highlights by the federal government called Justice 40 areas, right? These are overburdened communities that have, in fact, legacy pollution issues.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So what I quickly did for this presentation is work with Rosie to map the ports area and where all this other industry and commercial activity is. The scrap metal facility, all the warehouses that bring in all these trucks every day. And what I said to Rutgers is that we could do something similar to what Newark and Elizabeth did, which was to monitor what the truck traffic is coming out of these areas and the pollution level as a project if they want to seed it. So on Tuesday, Ron and 2 members of the steering committee for the EPA grant that we have, we're going to go on some reconnaissance and chart, just as a preliminary view, what we think are, some of these spots, and do a preliminary truck count so that we could put together a proposal to Rutgers to fund this. So
Yeah.
those are the 2.
Yeah. So putting on my old Journal of Commerce reporter's hat, I don't know what the current name of the container terminal on the southern border of Jersey City with Bayonne is. It used to be called Global Marine, but one of the recurrent issues in the shipping industry is complaints about pollution from ports because of the ships idling in port or while they're in port to loading and unloading cargo, and also all of the trucks
Yes,
coming in and
huge.
out. So
Huge.
that's the issue, and I know they've been trying to address it. I don't think they've been particularly successful. I know it was a huge issue in Southern California around LA and Long Beach, the 2 biggest container ports in the US.
Well, here's, the Port Authority of, New York and New Jersey was at that meeting at the New School where I presented this, last week, where Newark was also presenting, and Elizabeth, groups like Clean Water Action, who really have their hands on a lot of this air quality stuff. They're our partner on this DG3 campaign, which happens to be located, this is where DG3 is, that pink square. right? And I'm going to put this map link in the chat as well. You know, the way to read this, if you click on this pancake of squares down here, this gives you all the layers of what's in this map. So what you want to do is turn on one at a time. If you want to look at something, and then you turn it off, right, to look at the next thing. If you turn this on, I'm just using this as an example, and then you get rid of this so you can see the map. These numbers on these Justice 40 neighborhoods,
Right.
basically, Justice 40 has 8 key indicators, which are listed here. What it's saying is that at least 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 of those indicators exist in each of these neighborhoods. But all of them, which I've bolded here, remediation and reduction of legacy pollution, all of them have that issue and that burden. So, you know, I think it's important to note that what the Port Authority said that night, that they're very happy to participate in a task force and working groups and whatnot, but for the most part, Jersey City's Greenville Yards is private. They have no authority over it. Whereas the ports in New York and Newark and Elizabeth, they've been working to get rid of that idling so that the ships would have an ability to plug in at the ports to power their, you know, whether it's freezers or, you know, whatever they need to live for the crew and have the cargo be protected and not idle. They said they were going to do that in Newark Elizabeth 5 years ago, which was part of the conversation last week, saying, why hasn't that been done? Right? So it is a big issue, and it was talked about, but I also learned that night that they have very little, if any, oversight in Jersey City, because this is all private, which was extraordinary to learn.
Yeah, I know that the container terminals in Newark and Elizabeth, they're owned by the Port Authority and they're leased by to the private operators such as Maersk and Universal or whatever they're called now. But the Greenville one, yeah, I think that is privately owned.
Yeah, and you know, it opens up a little bit of a can of worms to the extent, and I just put the link to this map, you know, there. So the navigation, you have up here is the legend, excuse me, up here, you know, in the top of, if I bring this down, right? Sorry. You know, you're able to navigate the map with a search function and the legend, open, close, and then down here in the right-hand corner shows you the layers of the map.
Yeah.
Right? And
Very nice.
yeah, and the navigation bar for all our story maps is the same, which over here, the home page, the second page, and the third page, it's all in the left-hand margin. Right? So I'm saying basically it opens a can of worms because it's not only the ports, but this area by Liberty State Park where DGO, you know, is located.
DG3, you mean, right?
Yeah, DG3. Smack in the middle. So you have the ports, huge recreation area, these other commercial and industrial pins on the map, and Liberty State Park. Right here, you know, you have Camp Liberty with all those kids. Right smack in the middle by the golf course, you have Port Liberté, high-end residential village, who you know, people spend a lot of money there. Are they aware of the fact that they're actually vulnerable to the toxicity coming off of the ports and this commercial area where they're basically sandwiched? So it not only opens up the conversation, well, what about the ports, but what about the truck traffic and the air that's coming out of these other areas that are proximate? So we thought we should educate the public about it. And we asked Rutgers for some money. So we'll see where we're going to go with that. Right now, I just emailed to you the email that we sent to the superintendent. And I'll update you, Bill, before she comes to speak, right? Because we have our board meeting, unfortunately, on the same day that you have your Journal Square board meeting.
Yeah.
Right? That's been a little bit hard for us. So, because I would love to attend. But this, and I'm sending it to you all, is the email we sent to the school district this week. So you see the project that we're proposing. We'll get into the weeds in it. This is, just high level to see if they bite. Right now, I understand that the school district is pretty overwhelmed with this ESIP. So who the hell knows if they're going to go for it. So we have our upcoming certificate program, TikTok, right? We announced it at the CGC meeting, I hope, right? We're pushing out on that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
We're
and
gonna-
I posted it on Facebook, both the Journal Square Community Association Facebook page and my own personal Facebook page. But, Deb, I strongly encourage you to get your communications people to do everything they can to publicize it.
Yes, they are doing that. I was, unfortunately, Abalasha has been out of town for the last 8 days, and this was a pivotal time. But I was reaching out to them all this week saying full tilt on this, right? So I'm going to be writing a series of personal emails to my list of people.
Yeah,
right.
and include Eileen Poyani at St. Peter's because,
Yes, I was just going to ask you about that, to the extent that I send that to her every year and she sends it out to the students along with Daryl Levy and Rolando Lavaro, who's now over there.
Right.
But I've lost my contacts at the community college. We used to know Eric there, Ashwini, and
Yes.
the NJCU folks. I have no contacts over there. Do any of you?
Well, I know the assistant dean of students at NJCU and the president as well. So
Oh, great. So
I
when I send this over to Eileen and Daryl at St. Peter's, with the social media graphic and whatever else, all the information, I'll CC you on that, Bill. And then you can take that forward to the assistant dean of students over at NJCU.
Yeah, well, not NJCU, for the community college, but I'll send you her contact information, or I can ask her and I'll copy you. Who's the what should I say, the lead environmental person or the
Well, you could forward that information and ask and introduce me. I've CC'd Deb Italiano, Sustainable JC on this, blah, blah, blah. Who would be the best person to get this information out to the students?
Right. Yeah. Okay, I will do that.
All right, thank you. So guys, Solar Landscape is giving us $500 for the certificate program to have 15 minutes of fame, or so, to talk about what is going to be rolled out with community solar this year. So what date do I give them? David, I would imagine this is like the second session of the emissions module. What date is that? And is that okay with you for them to come in at that time?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I have to look it up in the calendar. But yeah, the second session of emissions.
You can click on the prospectus.
uh,
Session descriptions show the dates.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have it readily available, easy.
Okay, I'll look at that, but generally, is that okay with you? I'll CC you guys.
Yeah, I mean, how long do they want and what's their, is it?
Well, round three, they got 2/3 of the projects for the state to build out, and they're starting to do that. The opportunity for the one big thing that has changed is that it's no longer necessary, for example, for Jersey City residents
Yeah,
to sign up for a project that is next door, right? It doesn't have to be the proximate municipality or county. It could be anywhere in the state. So it's like wide open now. Anybody can sign up for community solar. And if the closest projects have filled up, for instance, if I wanted to sign up and the Secaucus project is full, I could be a subscriber in Camden.
so I guess my question is, when they're going the certificate program, is their presentation that, what the communicating to students, is it basically an advertisement for them, or is it?
Yeah, it's what is community solar. And if you want to support solar in New Jersey, here's the program that's being rolled out for everyone to participate in. Opportunity here is for you to lower your utility bill while you do so. And here's the timeline for you to sign up if this is of interest. You know, SJC is the lead educator in Jersey City for this. Our biggest challenge, to be honest, for example, and David and Ashwini know this, but Bill, I have a listserv of maybe 5,000 people. I don't know who those people are demographically, right? These are people who've said, send me your newsletter. There are a little bit of demographics on social media, but I don't necessarily know where these people live in Jersey City or what their income level is. There is a big push by the state to sign up and lower the utility bills of low income, low and moderate income people. We're trying to figure out how to reach those people. I think that we're going to be able to reach those people through our EPA environmental justice grant, right? We're talking, one leg of that grant is to do leadership training, which is not just about air quality. It's about flooding. It's about, energy efficiency, solar, all that stuff. So I would like for him to present that. What we do every year is participate with them on a scholarship program. We're the SJC, the judges for students all over the state. We'll continue to do that. But for the first time this year, I asked Kevin Dunshee, who's their chief commercial officer, my partner in crime over there, to send information about the certificate program to all the high school students they're working with for their Green Ambassador program, which educates those students about the energy industry, various sustainability stuff. So we'll see if there are any high school students that sign up this year, but Solar Landscape has gotten behind that and are helping us to do that in addition to sending us a sponsorship check to talk about community solar. So we'll see how that goes. We've never had high school students participate before. But I think we've all agreed that this stuff is not above their heads.
No, yeah. So we'll give them a slice of that second week of the emissions.
Right, I would say 20 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I know people generally like it at the beginning, but it would be thematically, it would be better if we went through the New Jersey's energy profile first.
Are we doing that? Are we doing some of that in session 1 or no?
No, the session 2 is usually when we go local.
Okay.
Um,
So would you say then, so this year, the course is not 3 hours each session, Bill, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we
Right.
made this more palatable. So are we saying the first hour you want to cover off on that and have them come in after the first hour?
yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be better.
Okay, so I'll tell him 7:30 on that date.
We asked one year, we asked them to do that, to do the coverage, and they really did a very poor and biased job of it.
Well, this is different than what Kevin talks about. We're not asking their person to come in and do the session. You're controlling the session this year.
Yeah.
Right? So
Right.
do you feel comfortable with understanding where the state's energy master plan is at, or should we try to get you through to someone? I think everything that we learned about that when we were interacting with Food and Water Watch around this turnpike
Yeah.
extension.
So, yeah, I mean, to me, it's a double-edged sword. The New Jersey master plan, in practice, is making a huge bet on rooftop solar. National NREL, National Renewable
Are you
Energy,
talking about residential rooftop versus community?
National NREL, National Energy Labs, Renewable Energy Labs, did a study of that on all 50 states a number of years ago using satellite data on roofs, and really phenomenal report, and concluded that New Jersey simply did not have enough rooftop solar to do that. And the New
What
Jersey,
about community solar, which is going on all these commercial facility, warehouses, et cetera?
no, it's not going to help.
Oh,
I mean, it'll help. I mean, every bit is useful. Okay, but you're going to need more than that, and that's where I have real issues with what Jersey's been doing. Basically because what it's doing is pushing the extra need off into Pennsylvania, and saying Pennsylvania will supply us our power that we need. So there's a bunch of issues with the master plan that.
okay. This is good discussion. Okay.
It's like the things that are going on with batteries. I mean, it's routine now to hear that batteries add to the power generating capacity of the state. That's just flat out not true.
I agree.
Batteries only allow you to generate energy during the day, and use it at night. But they don't. In fact, if anything, they actually subtract from the net generation power for the state because of the inefficiency of that. Right? If you store power and you put it back on the grid later at 90% efficiency, you've just lost 10% of that energy. So there's this massive misunderstanding of the grid and energy use and what batteries are useful for. That I would not say this in the court. I would say the New Jersey Energy Master Plan is one of the biggest pile of greenwashing I have seen in a while.
Wowsy. Which is probably adding to the vacillation of the governor on these fossil fuel projects.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think he's for some of these fossil fuel projects because he knows it's needed. Not necessarily the turnpike, but if there is a need for another power plant facility and there's no alternative other than to go to Pennsylvania.
Well, I mean, they took a big hit with the loss of the offshore wind.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
say that again.
It took a huge hit with the loss of the offshore wind.
Yes.
It'll come back. It'll come back. Wind is not going away. So here's my take on all of this. this business of zero fossil fuels, it's absolute nonsense. No more fossil fuels is bunk. It's good for activists because it gets people riled up. It's not a strategy moving forward. We're too tied to fossil fuels. It's easy to say renewables, but renewables are not an infinite resource. There's rare earths. We're dumping on people in third world countries to get our EVs and PVs. They're paying the price for it. We think we're getting the benefit of it. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
We're stuck with this shit. If we don't cut our consumption, we are stuck with this shit.
at least in the short time scales that we're talking about where we needed to cut the emissions. You know, I'm not willing to go as far as ashes if we go out 100 years.
No, 100 years is different. See,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Plastics, for instance, plastics, okay? Everybody that's working on plastics says chemical recycling is a greenwash because it's incineration. Except, as I know, Eastman has just set up a pilot plant in France to do molecular breakdown of plastic and reconstitution. So chemical recycling is a possibility in the future.
Right.
You can't rule out evolution. Things change. Let's not be too dogmatic about this stuff, but in the time that we have to change global warming, cutting fossil fuels is not the option. We should try, sure. We should put for renewables, sure. But it's not going to solve the problem.
Do
Let's
we
not
know,
kid
do
ourselves.
we know if there is something, no pun intended, in the wind to bring wind power back on the table for New Jersey?
Let me look. I think I remember seeing something about a proposal, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ash, I'd just like to pick up on something you just mentioned about some organization that has given money for a study in France on breaking down plastics. Could you?
yeah,
Yes, yes.
who is that?
So it's Eastman. Eastman Kodak. They
Yes.
broke up.
Yeah.
They're a chemical company. I'm talking to their chief research officer next week. They have a molecular recycling process that they're piloting in France. What they do is they break down the PET and reconstitute it as virgin PET chemically. And there's no incineration involved. There's none of the greenwashing stuff that everybody's so pissed off about, rightly pissed off about with plastics. Plastic recycling, I agree, in general, is greenwash. I agree. Firstly, most of the plastic doesn't actually get to recycling. And secondly, most recycling is degradation of the plastic. You can't reconstitute to the same level that you had the raw material. It's just not possible. You lose effectiveness. There's two kinds of plastic in the world, okay? Thermosetting plastics and thermoplastic plastics. Thermosetting plastics, once you set them, they're done. You can grind them up and you can use them as powder and shit like that, but you can't reconstitute them. Thermoplastic plastics, you can melt and reconstitute, but at a lower effectiveness. Less plastic. And this is just fact. I mean, I think David's absolutely right. This idea that we can gain something for nothing is the ultimate cycle. So what is it called in the old days? The stone.
Stonewalling?
No. The magic stone. Touchstone, whatever it's called.
The magic bullet?
Well, there are no magic bullets, unfortunately.
Right, but I
We
don't
can
know
only
the
kill
word,
with bullets.
I'm only know the word you're looking for.
Yeah.
We're going to speak to circular economy in
Yes.
the course, so some of this and the realities around recycling will come through.
Yes.
Is there anything else that we need to address for the certificate program at this juncture? Are we ready to go? I've been working with Whitney as the course administrator.
Yeah.
right? So we have, every time somebody registers, and we don't have a lot of registrations right now, let me just look, because we have to do some double time over the next couple weeks to market this. But I'll tell you how many registrations we have now. And I've been getting these personal notes that people are saying that they're going to register, but we'll see. There are a number of SJC people, volunteers who said they want to register. So we have 8 registrations right now. And we're aiming, Bill, for 40.
Okay.
Right. So we'll see how that goes. But every time someone registers, we send them a pre-course survey. Right. So that's being handled, asking them why they're taking the course.
Yeah, I think I'll register, I took it 5 years ago, but I think I'll take it again. But I'll miss that first session on March 12th, but hopefully I can be there for most of the others.
Okay, you register, happy to take anybody's money, but alumni can register for free or make a donation.
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, great, thank you. Anything else, guys, about this? The last thing I want to say is just a point of clarification. So SJC has gone through a planning process, and where we're focusing, if I do this one more time, and Bill, this is for your education, edification also. So if we go to SJC's website, right, basically our projects page, right, points to all the projects, stuff that we're doing or that we've done that ties into either emissions reduction, green infrastructure, or waste streams as projects. Projects, some of which have turned into programs and are staying, but like the tree canopy mapping, that was a project for 2 years, which we now rolled up to all our advocacy work for green infrastructure, which is a program, right? Potentially a campaign idea like the Heat Watch campaign or air quality, that as a result of the canopy deteriorating at an alarming rate, has it be that we just don't have as much clean air as we would if we had a full canopy here, for example. So we're rolling up, Bill, all of our projects seem to have a hook in the conversation about environmental health and justice. So much of what you're going to see SJC focus on is the conversation of this first project at the top of this page, right? We've let people know this is building on the shoulders of our Heat Watch and air quality campaigns and tree, canopy advocacy work, et cetera. And now we're going to do some serious air quality monitoring. But the thing I want to understand from you, Ashwini, so that you're not misrepresenting what SJC is doing, and this was a concern that Ron had yesterday when I was speaking with him.
Who is Ron?
Ron Petherbridge, who you've met. He's our air quality expert, air quality 101.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
He's on our board, and he's our grants officer. Right. Okay. So, but he's the air quality expert within SJC that is, guiding the ship, so to speak, with this EPA grant from that technical side of things. So he wants to know what you're focused on, Ashwini, in making, asserting to DEP that we're working on an extreme heat or the UHI. It's kind of a background conversation to some of this stuff, but I don't want to mislead them into the fact, and I'm very interested to understand how they're rolling out this extreme heat climate action plan and how to work with the city of Jersey City on this. But that's not a project that is currently in motion in SJC's portfolio. We did that study, we did some mapping, we know we have an issue here where, pressing the city in their climate and energy action plan to address it. So they've committed to planting more trees, and that's about it for the moment. So Ron was concerned that you were telling the DEP that we have a current project.
Well, no, wait. In what way was I telling DEP that we have a current project?
You're saying that SJC is working on the urban heat island in Jersey City.
Are we not? Is that not part of our focus?
Well, what I just said is that we don't have a current project, that in the background of things, we are urging the city to address it in their climate and energy action plan, which we will be part of that conversation. And the part of the EPA grant where we're going for revitalizing the business district in Greenville, Gensler is designing, what they're calling climate justice solutions that include shaded areas to address the UHI. Because if we're talking about Martin Luther King Boulevard, there are no trees there and it's hot. So there's a thread that we are certainly addressing that Gensler is putting into their design plan. But SJC doesn't have like a project like what we did 2 years ago where we were mapping the UHI.
So just to be clear, in one of the Slack conversations, Ron mentioned that survey that DEP is doing on extreme heat and said he did not know who was behind it, who to contact. I found out who to contact and I set up a meeting, assuming that he actually wanted to get in touch with the people running the survey. If I was wrong, I'll cancel that meeting. We have no need to meet with him.
No, it's good as long as we all know amongst each other, right, that we've not yet structured a project to address this, that all we're doing in the background of things is making sure it's included with the Gensler project, and that we're advocating to the city to, step up around the UHI. What we've done with that survey, so that we've put it into our newsletter, we've pushed out on social media, and we sent out the mailing last week or this past week on the CGC meeting series, the certificate program, and that survey to make sure that the community fills it out.
Okay.
So we've been
All right.
pushing that. So we'll see what the DEP says about how they're rolling out their plan. I'm very interested in that.
Good. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I may have used the word project, but that was not my intent. All I was saying was it's an area of interest. That's all.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Anything else for now?
This is good. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
just one thing.
So Bill, that was a stock tip. Buy stock in Eastman.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, I believe there's a company in Tennessee called Eastman Chemicals, and I'm not sure if they are or in the past may have been related to Eastman Kodak, but Eastman Kodak, I thought it had probably gone out of business.
It has. They broke up the company.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
But they
Eastman
are
is a spin-off.
right. Okay.
There's an article I have, Bill, if you're interested, by a chap called Joel Makower on Eastman's moonshot. Moving
I'd love to
plastic.
see that. Yeah, please
I'll send it to you.
me. Yeah,
I'll send it to you.
and
Yeah, share it with all of us,
right.
Ash.
Okay.
I
So-
know Joel from years ago. Is he still
Yep.
with that? With what's the company started? Not Veris. It begins with a V. It's a consulting organization. Who is that group? Do you recall?
I do not.
Okay, Joel Malkover. I'm looking that up now because it's an interesting group, Bill, to follow if Malkover. Yeah, I don't have it in my phone anymore. So look, spell, well, when you see the article, then you'll see his affiliation.
Yeah.
Thanks for sending that, Aaron.
So one thing I want to mention to all of you, a couple days ago, my wife and I participated in a Great Decisions discussion at the Ridgewood Public Library. And Great Decisions is a program initiated by the Foreign Policy Association probably at least 15 years ago. And they produce a book with fairly short chapters, about 10 pages. And you can get the book, and what they encourage is discussions by different community groups. And so this, the other day, the discussion was about the Middle East. And next month, the topic will be climate technology. So the moonshot, the Eastman's moonshot would fit in with that. So I'm going to be facilitating the discussion, which means I'm not really, I don't profess any expert on climate technology, but I want to be informed enough to ask intelligent questions or maybe make some points that are useful. So this would be very helpful. And I might want to get together with you, Ash, up at Ramapo, since I live pretty close by. Maybe we could have lunch sometime just before that to really pick your brain some more.
And if you're in the Chesapeake area, you and Nancy, you can look up David, who recently retired
Yes,
there,
yes.
right? So just curious, Bill, Great Decisions and the Foreign Policy Association, are those sort of like little nodes of community groups across the country who are having these discussions, kind of like a book club?
Yeah. So you can look it up, fpa.org, and it's fascinating. I wish I had known about this before, and the topics include China trade, NATO's future, pandemic preparedness. So just a whole range of public policy issues. But so next month it's going to be climate technology. And the chapter in the book, it's called Global Trade and Green Energy. So everyone participating in this is supposed to read the chapter in advance, and they have some discussion questions at the end of the chapter. And you can get the book. It's like $33, I think. But they also produce a video, like a 25-minute lecture, which they show at the beginning of the discussion. And I thought the one on the Mideast the other day was very comprehensive, as was the chapter.
It's interesting that you're bringing that up. And guys, David Ashwini, we've talked about, Bill, what are other channels of learning, for this education team, to consider. And we had a new volunteer that came to SJC last week who was talking about her background. What she does is develop learning tools, online learning tools. So she seems to have some facility with websites. So given that we have, we're in review about updating our website, I asked her to, work with us to just, throw some comments and insights over the transom. But we spoke about what she would want to do because she's an instructor, teacher type. She said she was also going to take the certificate program because she's not that learned in sustainability and resiliency matters. But she thought, I said, would you be willing to lead a book club? And I think, David, I might have spoken with you about this. It's interesting, related to the, Great Decisions discussion group. I don't know if some of this gets threaded through the CGC series. I think it's kind of different. I don't think that there's anything like a Great Decisions discussion group in Jersey City. There is not a book club related to some of these topics. I mean, I typically give away at our raffles at Green Drinks the book, The Overstory, view the world through the voices of trees, which people seem to love. But there are certainly other books that this group could recommend. It seems like, that's a nice format, a chapter with 10 topics and a video produced for a discussion group to take up, Bill.
Yeah,
That sounds very good.
yeah, I might write to the head of the Jersey City Public Library. I think I have his contact information, or I could certainly get it. And
Well,
suggest Jersey
here's
City do the same thing.
so CC me on that, and I have the Director of Community Engagement for the
Yes.
public library who came
It's
to our
Shane.
Darnell Richardson.
Oh yeah, Darnell. She comes to the Journal Square Community Association.
That's all.
Great. So include me on that, because if we can get behind something like this, whether it's at the library or whatever, I want to support it. Okay, time to go.
All right.
All
Okay.
right.
Take care,
This was a
folks.
Good
great,
discussion,
great
everyone.
meeting. Yes.
Yeah, take
Thank
care.
you. Have a great
Bye now.
weekend.
Yep,
Ciao, ciao.
bye
Take
now.
care, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.